All right. Let's see what we have going on here. Bring that over here. Oh, man. There we are. What's going on, everybody? Excuse me. All right, let me get this chat out. Let me pause that. Let me bring this up here. Bring this over there. And who is here? The usual suspects and some new guys. What's going on? See, William S. is here. Hello, sir. Ronnie B. Sorry, yelling into the microphone. What's up, Ronnie B? Let's see, Carlos. Spicy Wiener. Hey, man. I like the name. Olaf from PA. Awesome. Here we go one more time. Yep, one more time, guys. Last one. Last one of the year. Not much, dude. Not much going on with me. Damn it, what did I do? What did I do wrong? Grant Tilley, Adam Hall, Gary Farron. Hello, Liberty Seeker. Happy New Year's, everyone. Happy New Year's to you as well. Let's see, Kyle Osborne. Hello, hello. What is going on, everybody? How'd your Christmases go? Did you get what you wanted? I did my best to make that happen. So if you did get what you wanted, you're welcome. If you did not get what you wanted, that's not my fault. You should have been on better behavior. I got to double check something here on the Computron. Let's see, go straight there. So you guys just throw some stuff out there. What do you want to talk about tonight? Hey, what's up, cat ass? Excuse me. I'll tell you guys, we have the bug out weekend coming up this weekend. Kids had a good Christmas. That's all I can ask for, dude. Right? When you have kids, that's pretty much what Christmas turns into. Excuse me. I'm got some wheezing stuff going on. But yeah, when you have kids, that's pretty much what it turns into. And then you just take enjoyment from them having a good time on Christmas, right? Let's see. What didn't you do, Joey? You're almost as bad as Tim. Yeah, right? But I wanted to wish everyone a Happy New Year. Happy belated Christmas. Same to you, dude. Dylan has something to talk about. Excellent. Dylan, throw it out there. Unless it's the bug out weekend. Then we're already talking about it. What's going on, No Shill? Gun reviews. Let's see. And how does this weekend work? That's right, Kyle, because you signed up for it recently. Long story short. Sorry, like I said, I'm dealing with this. Long story short, you show up Friday. I'm probably going to be out on the range Friday around noon. Start getting set up, all that good stuff. We're going to hang out Friday. Most people tend to roll in the afternoon. We'll hang out Friday. Saturday, we'll get up. People tend to get up early because you're sleeping out in the cold, so it's hard to sleep in. The lecture stuff is going to start around 9 a.m. And my plan is about every 2 hours to start a new block of instruction. So like we're going to start, most likely we're going to start with Sam doing the land nav Saturday morning at 9. We'll do that. Then at 11, we'll pick up on, I have it all laid out somewhere. I'll have to get it. But long story short, very similar to Alumni Weekend, very chill. We're going to have some learning happening as well as just hanging out, but even more chill than Alumni Weekend. So just show up, have a good time. I think Adam, excuse me, Adam came down the other day and we were talking and he was like, yeah, the bug out weekend is just a bunch of dudes standing around the fire talking. And you know, I'm hoping to make it a little bit more than that this year, but that's one of my favorite parts. Like, that's what I like about the bug out is it is just us hanging out and, you know, talking about the stuff that we brought, talking about whatever comes up, shooting some guns, sitting around a fire. It's just a good time. Sunday rolls around. So Saturday, you know, we'll be doing all the shenanigans and stuff. Sunday rolls around. We'll have some more learning that happens Sunday as well. But yeah, we'll from there you move on You know, sometimes people leave pretty early Sunday. Some guys stay and even camp out over the Sunday night and leave Monday, so on and so forth. Excuse me. Let me get this microphone away from me. Excuse me. What time is everyone showing up for the weekend? It's Friday. You know, like I said, I'll be out there around noon on Friday, most likely, barring anything. Actually, it might be closer to 2. Heather will be at work until about 2 o'clock. And then, you know, as soon as she's home with the kids, I'll bomb out most likely. What's up, Blake Chin? How's it going? Let's see. No shield gun reviews. Does anyone have any experience with Midwest Industries accessories like their shotgun stocks or handguards? I don't have anything with the shotgun stocks, I don't believe, but we have messed with their handguards. Yeah, they make really good stuff. We have them on the AKs for our rental AKs and stuff like that. But even outside of that, I've also played around a lot with their Alpha series. So that's all their like AK accessories and stuff like that. And it's all really good. So I have had no bad interactions with them. What's up, Sam Russell? Hey guys, speaking of Sam Russell, he's doing something cool. So for you guys who don't know, we had an alumni in our community who recently passed away. Excuse me. And so, you know, there's a GoFundMe that is set up. If you're a part of the alumni Facebook group, that's already put up on there. You can donate if you're able to, so on and so forth. But Sam, for the bug out weekend, is going to be bringing down some jerky and things like that he's put together, thrown together, stuff like that. I don't like beef jerky, but Sam makes some pretty good jerky for sure. and anyway, so he's going to come down. He's going to sell those at the bug out weekend. Whatever he does not sell at the bug out weekend and everything that he sells, he's donating to the GoFundMe. I hope I'm not misquoting him. I read the post this afternoon. It's been a long day. So anyway, he's going to donate that to the GoFundMe. And then after anything that's left, if you want to purchase it through him, through Facebook or something like that, proceeds will continue to go and he'll ship them to you and stuff like that. That's my understanding. If I said anything out of line, then he can correct me. Let's see. Someone bought the last Tactical Response Edition rifle. Damn. Yep. Yep, man. Had to get them while you could. Let's see. What's up, fellas? Not much, dude. Justin Smith. Hey, man. Thanks for checking in. Jordan Johnson has a Benelli M4 handguard. Excellent. Oh, dude. Yeah. Now, sorry. I'll stop apologizing after about the 10th time. So their Alpha series is really cool. I know you're only specifically looking for the handguard, but the Alpha series is all the stuff that kind of falls in there. And I don't know if they've kind of like, that's the new branding. Like, I don't even know if you can get their old AK handguards anymore. So anyway, I really enjoyed messing around with it. Can't go wrong with it. Let's see. What else? Midwest Industries blast can is a blast. Makes an 11.5, 5.56 very pleasant to shoot. Excellent. See, Midwest Night Fighter rail. Yep, those are great. Where are all the random team room meds? Yeah, I mean, they're still down here. I am all medded up, though. I think I'm in the middle of my rotation right now, so I'll be able to take some more medicine right before bedtime, which is perfect because then I can sleep. I want to use their stock for a Mossberg 590, but there are no videos online for them. Okay. A lot of their stuff, and so I'm not saying that you didn't do your due diligence or anything like that, but I know that whenever they send you a part, they include a QR code to a video of them installing it for everything that I've ever gotten from them. So if that's something they sell, that video is out there somewhere. I don't know if they have like a public YouTube channel where they have all of that stuff uploaded, but you may be able to reach out to them and tell them that you're interested in purchasing the thing or what have you, but you want to see how it's put on first, whatever your reason is, right? Reach out to them, send them an email, and I would bet that they have some way of getting that to you. I mean, I'm not going to make any promises for them, but I wouldn't be surprised if they hook you up. Let's see. Ruger RXM with an enclosed dot serving me well, but looking for a Gen 6 Glock 17 in 2026. Dude, have at it. Yeah, I'm sure that's going to be great. I'm sure the Gen 6s are going to be fine. Let's see. Did I miss something from Liberty Seeker up here? Happy New Year's. No? I didn't miss anything? Okay. No worries. But I see here Josh Hill saying Eva is about 10 minutes from Camden. Yeah. So Eva is about 10 minutes from Camden, so that makes it about 30 minutes from the range. Still not on the website, Carlos. That's let me get that fixed, because I know, correct, all money goes to Steve's wife and kids. Perfect. Excellent. Glad I didn't paint you into a corner where you looked like a giant asshole. Yeah, let me get that fixed real quick for you guys. I was running it into some issues with the with updating the product. So I do have the dates on there. I just need to confirm this real quick. Saw Gen 6 Glock 17s on some email list. I'm on for $7.99. Okay. I want the Glock 45 Gen 6. I'm not a big 9mm guy, but I do like how the Gen 6s look. I hope they bring back the 10mm and 45 models back, like the Glock 40 and the Glock 30. Oh, I'm wheezing. Sorry, guys. Here I am. Don't worry. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure sleeping out in the cold for 3 days will knock it right out. Yeah, man. I mean, in all honesty, I haven't messed around with those very much because James is who got me into guns and stuff like that. So you can imagine that every single Glock I've ever shot has been a 9mm. I think I messed around with it wasn't a 10mm Glock, but it was the Smith & Wesson, not cat ass, fat nuts. That's funny. I almost combined cat ass with fat nuts. I almost called him fat ass. But anyway, so I messed around with that a little bit, but a Glock is a Glock is a Glock kind of thing. What do you think about the XS Big Dot Pros, the lime green ones? So when you say lime green, what I prefer, and we may be talking about the same thing, but it's like that safety, like that weird mix of yellow and green, like, that you see like in the vest and everything. I'm a big fan of those. Cat ass kind of turned me on to them. Right there he is talking about yellow is the way. And yeah, I think that they're great. Any big dot is going to be fine. The orange one's fine. Of course, the white ones are great. The yellow ones are great. I mean, you almost can't go wrong. If you're going to put a big dot on there, have at it. At some point, unless you're getting like super into the weeds about it, like they all are pretty close to each other, I think the yellow, the only reason why I give it the edge is because it is easier to see. Like scientifically, there's a reason why that color is used, so you don't run people over on the side of the highway, and that's why tennis balls are that color, and so on and so forth. So you carried a Glock 20, and that gun was too big for my hands. Never even seen a Glock 20. So bring one with you for the bug out. Yeah, they always, so the white big dot, how about the Trijicon HD XRS? Have not messed around with that either. But I would assume that they're probably fine. I mean, I don't know. I have had a couple of Trijicon products go down in class from different students and stuff like that, but I don't know. Not enough to be like, yeah, Trijicon sucks or anything. Also donating a saddle. So this is from Blake Chin, guys. Donating a saddle and a pair of boots to Steve's family if someone wants to purchase them. #alumni. Very kind of you, sir. If you haven't already posted that over there in the alumni group on the Facebook page, not a bad idea to do so. Darker green is what you're talking about, came out last year. Yeah, no, I haven't shot those. Actually, I think I gave a set of them though to Kayla. So I'll get in touch with her, or you could, you know, if you have her number, she's never afraid to answer a text or anything like that. You could ask her what you think about them, or what she thinks about them. The white big dot is where it was at. Unfortunately, they don't make them anymore. I know they always hinted at that they were thinking about possibly maybe bringing them back. Again, the white ones are great. I think that you know, it's what I shot for a long time. The white ones are excellent. The yellow one maybe. What Trijicon stuff is broken in class? I've seen some RMRs take a beating. Optics mainly. Hit that slide release. Thank you, Mark Curtis. If only there was some kind of class on them. If only Dylan was going to be here in a few days to talk about big dots during the bug out weekend. I should probably record it again and put it on the internet. Yeah, I mean, it's mainly just been optics, and I think it's just been in fighting pistol. I think I've had 2 or 3 of their optics just kind of shit the bed. You know, again, slide release is what I wanted to talk about, by the way. Really? Is that from that? Who? I saw someone make a post that said something about it was Dean. He said something along the lines of, if you're talking about slide release versus racking the slide, then you need to retake fighting pistol. Is that kind of, did that stem from something else? Probably the SRO. Probably. I'm not 100%. Got to stop with the gross motor argument. That's not true. The gross motor skills. So you're saying, so Dylan, are you advocating? No, I won't say that you're advocating the slide release. You're saying that, what's your specific position? Pressing the trigger is a fine motor skill. I agree with you. I think Don Edwards puts it in a pretty good perspective. So I think I understand where you're coming from. Comparing the gross motor skill, or only saying that you shouldn't use the slide release because of the fine versus gross motor skill. If that's your only reason for not doing it, it's not a very good reason, and I can understand that. Don puts it pretty well. He's good. The way he describes it, and before everybody's rocking red dots. Someone is being a heretic. That's funny. So anyway, he says something along the lines. So you're telling me that under the effects of adrenaline, I can look at my rear sight, my front sight, know that they're in alignment, touch the trigger, take the slack out, smoothly press it to the rear, realign my sights, reset my trigger, then do it again. But I can't do that with my thumb. So I definitely understand where he's coming from there. Right. Running the slide is about consistency, not necessarily about the gross motor skill. Absolutely. I do agree with you there. And when students ask about it in class, I do tend to talk about that. Now, I do still bring up the fine motor skills and stuff like that, because it is something to be aware of, where you're talking about can't consistently hit the slide release on a Glock, by the way, right? So where I bring the fine versus gross back in is, like, the trigger press is a fine motor skill, but we can always, quote unquote, always find the trigger, touch the trigger, and do what we got to do with it, like, without really adjusting or being conscious of what we're doing with it. Doing this with our thumb, especially if it's out of the way, we have to reach up and do things and stuff like that. So that's kind of where, again, it's not a very good argument, but it is where the fine motor versus gross starts to come in my opinion. The study that the old gross motor skill thing came from was bad and came to the wrong conclusions. Okay, excellent. So have you recently, I hope you guys can't hear that in the mic, my wheezing, but anyway. Cuts down on the diagnostic. Yeah. Let's see. Racking works for everything but a type 3. Exactly. I mean, I don't know if it's still on the YouTube channel, but if you guys haven't watched it, there's a part 1, part 2, and part 3 for how to load. This is talked about in John Hearn's class. Yes, excellent. I'm glad that you brought up Hearn's class. Hold on. I got ADD. I'm getting distracted. But there's a part 1, part 2, part 3 of how to reload your pistol. And we talk, so part 1 and part 2, James did. I think I did the part 3, but he may have actually had a part 3 up already. But I did one about it as well. This was a few years ago. So anyway, like James, of course, does a very good job. I mean, fuck it. We got 40 minutes. I can talk about it, but yeah, talking about consistency. The reason why we do things the way that we do them is because we want to cut down on those options. And now talking about John Hearn, you guys will have to follow me here. I'm going to pull a little Weitzel on you. You have to, so talking about John Hearn, even talking about options available to us. So keeping our options low because of Hicks law. Even the study done on Hicks law could have been done better. And recent studies have shown, yeah, right, I'm about to hit you with the do you follow me. More recent studies show that once you reach a certain level of training, then Hicks law is not as big of a detriment as it is, was made out to be. Now, with that being said, if you are untrained or low, like not high on the skill level yet, then having a bunch of options thrown at you is a detriment. But once you reach a certain level, then that's when you are able to do things like think about what kind of thing you need to, what kind of reload you need to do. So anyway, type 1, like what do we do to the gun? We load it, we reload it, and we fix type 1, type 2, and type 3 malfunctions. For loading, reloading, type 1 and type 2s, this, whether it's with a magazine going in or a magazine already in there, this and this fixes the problem, right? Inserting the mag or tapping the mag and racking the slide. That fixes loading, that fixes reloading, that fixes type 1, that fixes type 2. Why wouldn't we do it? Like, boom. Excellent. And then, of course, then that puts us on the type 3, which is just reload the gun anyway. So now we're back to inserting the mag sharply after we rip the other one out of the way. Insert the mag sharply and rack the slide. So anyway, neither your James or your video about it is still on YouTube or Liver TV. Been looking. Jesus. But tap, rack, get back in the fight is never the wrong answer. In my opinion, easier to master with there only being one option available to the brain in the stress of a gunfight. So I kind of already touched on that a little bit. But I would say, but here's my thing, and it's something that I would love to talk to Hearn about. And he includes some of the information in the handout he gives you in the who wins, who loses, and why. But I'd love to go more in depth over what level of training, what skill level do you have to get to where things like Hicks law doesn't matter as much, right? Because it's definitely not the guy who takes one class a year and doesn't practice, doesn't do dry practice or anything like that. Is it the dude who takes 2 classes a year and sneaks in dry practice once a month, once a quarter? Like where do we start to see where Hicks law becomes less detrimental? I don't know. For me personally, and for us here at Tactical Response, the reason why we still teach one type of reload and things like that, like we teach the tap rack, we teach the reload the gun for the type 3, we always rack the slide every single time, is we're working on that consistency. And even if you reach that level of proficiency, I believe that maintaining that consistency is, let's see, if we look at the time saved for like slide release versus racking the slide, I don't know. Like I get it, like milliseconds count, right? If we're talking about a gunfight kind of thing. So I'm not trying to downplay the speed thing, but like I don't know. I think that racking the slide, just training yourself to do that every single time, I don't think that it is such a detriment or such a time loss that I don't think it's any worse or better for that person who reaches that skill level, who reaches that point where they could choose to use the slide lock, right? Big fan of Markle / Jaeger's type 3 fixes. We like relevant, realistic, and recent training. Yes. Right. Relevant, realistic, and recent. I mean, those are big things to think about for sure. If I followed correctly, it kind of sounds like we're going to default to the level of training mastered. Could kind of be like that. It's someone in the 1% of 1%, like Carl Wren talks about. Oh shit. Well, damn. 1% of the 1%? Do any of us qualify for that right now? The less thinking involved in troubleshooting a malfunction, the better. Yeah. Absolutely. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing about the malfunction stuff. Always tap and rack. Malfunction in type 3, always just reload the gun. Yeah, I mean, that's it. Tap rack, that's all you have to think about. I don't know. I don't know. Like that's easy. It's the people who are getting into the weeds about the slide lock for the reloads that I can be like, all right, look, man, like if you want to do your slide lock thing on your reload, if you think you're in that 1%, then excellent. Yeah. But even Markle, so I know that Paul and Jared, those guys over there at Student of the Gun, I know that they're teaching type 3s as reloading the gun and stuff like that. And and Paul and of course they're great over there. I tell you guys to go train with them all the time. If you haven't trained with Paul, you should fix that. He's awesome. Jared's awesome. The whole crew over there is great. So anyway, I will say that whenever we started talking to him about the type 3s, because when he was helping finish James's book, The 4 Pillars of Fighting, we had to tell him to edit that type 3 part, because I don't know if it was a leftover from James or if Markle had changed it or something like that. But anyway, it had the lock, rip, rack. So we just told him, hey, we just reload the gun for type 3s. If you could make sure that that's updated in the book. And so, we talked a bit about it, and he did a trial run, and I'm assuming that he still teaches it this way a little bit. But I have gotten a few phone calls from him where he's like, hey, man, like, let's talk a little bit about that type 3 malfunction clearance that you guys do. And it, he always has like a use case of where it doesn't work and everything. So anyway, task first priority is to load the gun. Excellent. Yeah, I mean, I agree. The sweatshirt that I have on, are they ever going to be for sale again? Haven't seen them in forever. Yes, absolutely. We are currently talking to a dude here local to make them. Jason is all tied up with John's stuff. So we have a guy who had made our last few runs of shirts for us. The Mindset Tactics Skill Gear. He made those for us. He made the Stay Dangerous. Some more of our recent stuff. And so we've reached back out to him. We're hoping to have these available. We're checking in on like what the lead time will be for the size of the order and stuff like that. So hopefully we'll have some. Oh, and Jason is making shirts to benefit Steve's family too. So excellent, guys. Yeah, go check out that stuff that they're doing over there. Some of us are that 1%, while others are merely the 1%. I don't. My reading comprehension must be down. I'm not 100% why you mean by that. You're saying that some of us are the 1% inside the 1%, and the others are merely the 1%. Still waiting on a shirt of the month club, dude. Get it started. What's going on? Chuck Peoples from Homestead Medical, another very good guy you should train with, guys. If Jason's not making them, bring back the embroidered ones. I don't know if this guy does embroidered. But this one, well, this one was actually one of Jason's, I bet. This one's a pretty old one. So, in fact, I don't know if we've had the new guy make hoodies or not, but I've had this one forever. You're seeing comments I'm not seeing. Wonder what's up with that. I don't know. Maybe hit that refresh. See what's happening. See what's happening there. Let's see. And Dylan's going to explain what he meant by that 1% thing. So don't be afraid to step on some toes, like you said, Dylan. You're not going to hurt my feelings any. Let me get this sorted out there. Uh-oh. All right. Watch this. What did I do? I did something wrong. Now I'm not seeing anything. Oh, Chuck, I'm doing great, man. Glad you could make it in, dude. How's everything going on your end? Hope you had a good Christmas. Hope you're excited for the new year. I am. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Here's Dylan's explanation. Let me fix this. Blake Chin, Happy New Year's to you too, man. The amount of gun owners that take at least 16 to 32 hours of training beyond state minimums for permits is probably around 1%. Of that 1%, how many people seriously train? Probably around 1%. I'm talking about people like Garrett Mattson. Yeah, okay, excellent. I can see that. Yeah, but see, so when you say 1% of the 1%, not nines and ones, right? Okay, I see what you did there, William. So when you talk about being 1% of that 1%, the seriously train, and you specifically mentioned Garrett, like Garrett takes a bunch of classes, and I'm assuming also practices a whole lot, because you don't get as good as he is only by taking classes. You have to put in some of the sweat, right? So if Garrett is our benchmark for the 1% of the 1%, then none of us need to worry about thinking about another way to load our gun, because we're not at that level yet. Because Garrett, like Toddster is here saying, yeah, like Garrett is something else behind that gun. Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know. Puts us back to racking the slide every time. But like you're saying, is, consistency, not necessarily about the thingy thing. Fixing ahead to do some work with fellow alumni on Saturday. Hell yeah, man. Appreciate it. That's good. Get that work in, man. All is good on this end, working on the 2026 schedule. Perfect. Do you have like a website for people to go to, or you just do it all through Facebook? And Dylan, of course, says, hey, I said like Garrett. And there's a lot on that like. Yeah, I know. And there's probably... Shit, let me get this out of the way before I hack up along on you guys. There's probably no like hard scientific answer, or maybe there is a scientific answer of like, well, you brought up Carl Wren, right? And they did that book where they laid out all those skills, and they were like, hey, if you can shoot this drill at this level, then you're probably this level in the rankings of this organization, so on and so forth. So I wouldn't be surprised if, Carl Wren and Hearn and all them have done something to where they're like, hey, like if you've trained for this many hours and you've practiced for this many, and you can do this drill and this proficiency and yada, 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 then you're in the 1% of the 1%, right? We're all hacking, Joey. Don't worry about it. Hey, man, I just know that I'm here. I've got a microphone, and some people listen on headphones, and the last thing I want to do is blow out their ears with my lungs falling out of my face. I like racking. I've been in other classes where they teach using the Duber. I try to be a good student and do it their way, but I always go back to racking. Right? Yeah, I mean, I get it. That's the same thing for the students who show up to our classes trying to do the right thing, or trying to say doing the right thing. I'm not saying what we teach is the right thing, but they're trying to do what we're teaching them, and then they always go for the slide lock. That's their muscle memory, and then their reloads get fucked up whenever they try to do a rack instead of a slide lock, the side Duber thingy. So I get it. I've been in your shoes too, Grant. You got to be reading, studying, practicing, and taking classes to get there. It's a never-ending process. Yeah, no doubt about that. Like, there's no doubt about that. Again, I guess, maybe I'm not saying it correctly, but I'm like, what's the line? What's the line for where we can, like, when a student shows up and he's talking to me about the classes that he's had, the classes that he's had, and the training that he does, the practice that he does, and stuff like that, and how he's okay to do a speed reload instead of a tactical instead of an emergency reload, or he's okay to do a tactical reload instead of an emergency reload because he's going to know when he can and when he can't, and so on and so forth. Like, if Garrett tells me that, if Garrett's like, hey, when I run this drill, I want to practice my tactical reloads to get some reps in, I'm going to be like, hey, Garrett, go ahead, man. Like, he's at that level, right? At what level do I tell the other student, like, hey, why don't we just master this one first? Why don't we continue to work on this thing? And I get it. There's probably not a like hard, definitive line. I just wish there was. Right, exactly. Because what I don't want, this is, I don't know, not to get too philosophical with it. I hope everybody who's not commenting, if you're just listening, I hope you're enjoying the discussion between me and Dylan. But I remember as a baby instructor, I was training with Super Dave. This is my first class that I've taken after I had assumed the role of instructor. I had not even taught a class yet, but he knew I was an instructor and was just literally starting that then. And one of the things that he talked to me about was that as a firearms instructor, especially if you're going to label yourself as, like, quote unquote, a defensive one, a fighting one, anything like that, he said, everything you say on the range matters, because what you say could mean someone living or someone dying from what they hear from you, and that's heavy, like, as a firearms instructor. So when it comes to discussions like this, I do take it very serious, and I don't want to ever be teaching something to continue teaching the thing that I was taught. I'm not afraid to change my opinion on things, change my outlook on things, if the data supports that change. I want to give these people the best information that I can, because, like Super Dave said, what I'm teaching people could be a matter of life and death. And so anyway, that's kind of why I want there to be like a hard line where I can be like, yes, you are allowed to work on your different reloads. I don't know. Anybody mess around with the Mantis Titan X? I want to get one just to practice dry fire, but is the trigger realistic to the Glock? I personally have not messed around with the Titan X. I have messed around with other Mantis products. They all have been good. I've never bought one. I haven't had them send me one or anything like that. I haven't gotten anything for free from them or anything like that. Yeah, unfortunately, I haven't had any experience with them. I would be curious, what was it Nate? I think Nate might have been telling me about it. Nate has been doing a whole lot of work with the Mantis stuff. I know that he's got the one for the AR. What's that called? Like the Blackbeard or something like that. He's got the one for the AR. I want to say he was talking about the one for the Glock as well. So I don't know if it was this Titan X or a different one where he got to use his Glock, so on and so forth. But if it was the Titan X, Nate had nothing but good things to say about it. I just don't know if it was or not. I pay for training to learn that instructor's way, not show them what I know, right? I struggle with the idea of teaching 2 ways to do something when that could confuse them. Yeah. I remember James saying that people who have been in gunfights telling him, I could hear your voice telling me to move my fucking feet. Yeah, that's a common thing. Someone else was told Kayla something along those lines. And I think it was for like a medical thing, that whenever they were like putting a tourniquet on somebody, like in real life, they just kept hearing her say, this wasn't like a gunfight or like a violent thing, but they said that they could still hear her saying like, hey, keep your fucking head up kind of thing, you know? No, man, again, it's just everything we say, it matters. And that's why I feel bad sometimes as an instructor, because like you have a student who is learning, right? Like this is not necessarily that is natural to them, whether they're a new student or they're someone who's trained a bunch, but they have old habits that they're trying to fight through. And anyway, but like, so they're not doing something the way I think or we think that they should. Racking the slide. They're not racking the slide every single time. And so after about 20 times of telling the student like, hey, don't forget, rack that slide, man. Like, I don't want to keep hounding them, but am I doing them a disservice if I just stop hounding them? You know, I feel like I am, you know? So there we go. There's Josh Hill hooking us up. He has the Titan, the Titan, maybe not the Titan X. I don't know. Trigger's not quite the same as a Glock, but it is an excellent dry practice tool though. Perfect. I used the regular Mantis and it told me I simultaneously was using too much and too little finger on a press. And I thought, what's that movie? Walk Hard, the story of Dewey Cox, where he's like having withdrawals and he's like, I'm hot and cold at the same time. We're going to need more and less blankets, doctor. I'm afraid you're right. Anyway, 1 point for a tap and a rack. If you're not using your pistol, it still works. Yeah. Oh, no, absolutely. Yeah, you don't really have a, well, at least the slide release is not in the same spot when it comes to running, pressing the dubers for your rifles. More blankets and less blankets. Yeah, I'm afraid you're right. That's the part that always gets me. Like, I'm an easy laugh, you know? So like off the wall stuff like that, man, it'll always get a chuckle from me. Justin Smith, where are y'all teaching immediate action medical right now? I remember there being a lot of role play type stuff that we used the whole shop for, basically. Too noisy for the team room. So, yes, we are teaching it at the team room. It is not too noisy. Rebecca is very kind. She understands that when we have a medical class come up, that it's going to get a little loud. So yeah, I mean, we've taught 4 or 5 medical classes right here at the team room. We still have some alumni come in to help with the scenarios and things like that. So, you know, we're doing it right here. James was a big fan of techniques. Oh, what? 1 second. Sorry. Cocono Arms. Happy New Year to you as well. James was a big fan of techniques that worked all the time and with any equipment. Yep. I mean, it just makes sense. But that's because I've been... What was the argument that James and Lewis got into that day? Been Morpheused? They were talking about the Matrix. I can't remember what they were using to describe it as, but yeah, I've just been indoctrinated. That's why I'm saying it. I shout that at my wife when she's complaining about being hot and cold. Makes no sense. Yeah. Nah, it was it was along the lines of red pilled. I can't remember. They were called, but they had like a silly, like they were literally, it was something like, you've been Morpheus. I can't remember, but it was based off of that thing about how like, I can't remember. There's like that internet stuff meme where it's like, Neo never had a choice, Morpheus, yada yada yada. I don't know the whole lore behind it, but anyway. But Grant Tilley saying, Dylan, that's the biggest reason I like the tap rack over using the lever or button. Yeah. But again, so back to Dylan's point though, that when we're talking about like these different techniques and stuff like that, and we're talking about, even when we're talking about consistency, when we start, so I think the baseline for me and for you guys, when we're entertaining these ideas, it's for when we have reached that level of training, when we're as Dylan was saying, that 1% of the 1%. That's when we can start entertaining these other options. So if you're that 1% of the 1%, and I would say James was, and James made his choice, right? He was like, I'm doing it this way every single time, no matter what. So, but I think when you're in that 1% of the 1%, that's where you are allowed to where doing this with your pistol every time, or maybe doing this with your pistol every time, doesn't affect what you do with your rifle, right? Because you've reached that level of training. I'm going to keep teaching people the way that I teach them. I'm going to keep doing it the way that I do it. Dylan's got a question. I like using the bolt release on my AR because God and Eugene, right? But I'm smart enough to run the bolt on an AK, right? So I have a question. All right, let's hear it. Though I will say, man, there is sometimes, dude, like people struggle with racking running the bolt on an AR, man. Like, I don't ever tell anyone that it's okay. There's sometimes where I'm just like, you should just press that slot. You need to press that bolt release. After they've induced their third double feed from doing it wrong, I'm just like, all right, listen. Fingers turn to flippers under stress. Right. But so all right. If you guys haven't had fighting pistol in a while, there are studies that have been done recently, and I don't bring up the gross motor skills, but what I do bring up is like the heart rate thing. So in the mindset lecture that we have recorded, James talks about heart rate. Once it reaches 180, that's when we swap from thinking brain to caveman brain. But if that were the case, then Olympic athletes would be dealing with the adverse effects of adrenaline when they're doing their thing, and obviously that's not the case, right? This is all stuff that I think Dylan and I both have probably got from John Hearn's class. What the studies show now is it's more to do with novel situations, right? Being thrown into stressful, novel situations, something your brain has never had a chance to experience before. And so this whole slide lock thing is coming from the fact that more recent information as far as the effects of adrenaline and what it does to our gross motor skills versus our fine motor skills and our, of course, complex motor skills might not be to the same level as those original studies done, right? Or those original studies made it out to be. So that's where all that comes from. So when did Jaeger start teaching mindset, tactics, skill, and gear? Well, let me see if I can find something for you real quick on here, and I can try to answer that. So I remember going through the drive here not too long ago where we keep the curriculum. And it might not have been on this. Actually, it might not have been in the drive. I think it might have actually been on one of the older computers, where I found a really old pistol outline. Now, when I say like really old, what I mean is like old. Yeah, checking the sacred text, right? Like the point where class was starting at 9 o'clock. You know, we were still teaching. We were tactical response, used to teach tactical speed and emergency reloads. Like that was in the fighting pistol outline. Dummy rounds weren't included in day one, things like that. But what was on there was still a mindset lecture. I don't know if it was the 3-hour one or anything like that. But at the very least, I couldn't tell you the day that it happened, or maybe even not the year. But if I can find that outline, I can check the date for it, and we'll call it there. Or I can at least give you that year. All right, let's see. Yeah, so Grant brings up a good point. Sorry, guys, excuse me. Grant brings up a good point, right? You can still use the trigger and mag release. Kentucky Sustainable Living, what's going on? Big Dog Status, thank you for tuning in. Feeling Tactical, what's up, man? Happy New Year to you as well. Let's see, and you can train yourself out of the negative stress effects. I know Ayub was teaching it before James, but I'm wondering if Andy is the missing link. And he may be. It might be something that he picked up whenever he was doing ops. Now, but I do know that James got it from Ayub, because I think it might not be in this recorded lecture that we play in class now, but I know when James verbally gave the lecture, he would talk about, when he specifically said the survival principles at the start of class, he would say survival principles popularized by Masad Ayub, you know? And so he definitely gave Ayub the credit whenever he was talking about that stuff. Well, you can inoculate yourself to stress, interval cardio, local IDPA, USPSA, mentally rehearse. Absolutely, all that stuff can help. Force on force is great for that stuff. But here's the deal, guys. I love you, and you're awesome. I'm going to close this out early because we got 8 minutes left, and I got to hit the head real bad. So thank you for tuning in. I will see you next year. Come down for the bug out weekend. We'll see you then. Sign up for some classes. Let's talk more about slide lock and racking the slide next week. This is the way. Now, if I can only find that button.